Inside this box contains a filter rated to be able to filter an aquarium up to 80 gallons of water, costing approximately $7 US. That was a lie. There's 4 of them in here actually, and it's for a project that I'm working on right now, but before we open it, we should probably talk about why I needed these. The project at hand is for my flower horn tank, my absolutely filthy tank. Why is it filthy? Because I can't put my hand in there without these guys, trying to attack me. Even worse over on this side because there's so many more. They put on so much size out here. I should also preface this with the fact that we bred these flower horn. We crossed a flower horn with a King Kong parrot. And we don't know what we have yet. And I think that, well, you'll see. Under my care, that it's absolutely insane. However, I want to see them more so on their own now. I've decided over the past couple of months that these guys should probably go in their own aquariums, or at least so that we can grow them out for a little while and be able to actually see them. Just stay there for a sec. But you guys do know that we have 8 15-gallon aquariums up top here, and we're not really using them. They were supposed to be shrimp tanks, and whatever. I'm going to take all those shrimp and I'm going to put them in my 700-gallon aquarium. We're going to take the flower horn and we're going to put 1 in each tank. And you might be thinking, well, is a flower horn of 2 inches or 1 to 2 inches okay in a 15-gallon? I think that you guys know the answer there. With ample water changes and proper filtration, they're going to do just fine. But what are we doing for filtration? We should probably take a look in the box. So 4 of these filters in here. I actually discovered them on Amazon as I was clicking around looking for a new type of sponge filter until I came across these. Yes, it's a sponge filter. No, it's not what you think. But yes, they are dirt cheap. It comes with absolutely everything you require for them. Not only the sponge filters and their internal attachments, but 24 feet of really high quality hose. We have the check valves, which means that air can go through one side, but when the water shuts off or when the air shuts off, water cannot siphon back out of it. These are definitely going to be required. We have suction cups that are going to allow us to suction cup the air hose to the side of the tank, making them look a little nicer. We also have these little micro ball valves, or needle valves, whatever you want to call them, which will allow you to individually control each sponge filter. We also have directional air diverters, which will allow us to put 1 air hose in and a couple of out, because not all air pumps have multiple outlets, but all of this is included. Oh, plus, of course, the air stones themselves, which, believe it or not, are really high quality. And also, all of the biological media required to run these sponge filters. That's where these guys get interesting. Not only do we have a sponge filter that, well, it's compressed right now, put it in some cold water and it will retain its shape. And not only are these at around, I would say, 50 ppi, which is pores per inch, which is ideal for a sponge filter. You don't want to go any coarser than that because we all know that the bacteria we're trying to cultivate on the sponge is microscopic. The more porous a sponge is means the more food that's actually going to get trapped within the sponge, a lot of the times leading to poor water quality. We want that to coat the outside like mulm, and the bacteria to live within it. The mulm's not going to stop the bacteria from penetrating the sponge. However, what's interesting is when we start taking these bad boys apart, take the top off, which is a twist top, it doesn't just come right off, and look what's inside of it. Very, very cool. No wasted space. But wait a minute. The first thing I noticed is that these guys are so light, but there's a bottom to it as well. And the reason being is simple. We're going to set this one up really quickly. Take your little base. We're going to take some biological media. This is often, you'll see it in Eheim filters, is one of my favorite biological medias on the planet. It's a very porous, very small, and spherical biological media, which allows for beneficial bacteria to live on it, but also allows for great flow all around it. With spheres, it allows for more contact with the water because water is going to travel the path of least resistance. And what that means is water's coming up through it, and because they're not blocks, and they're so small, water's going to be forced to come up through it evenly. You guys have seen me build so many sponge filters, from do-it-yourself sponge filters to Matten filters to you name it. And this is arguably one of, I want to shake it so it goes all throughout the base, but one of the most innovative sponge filters for its price that I've ever seen. You want to fill it to about, I would say 75, 70 or 80%, something like to about here. Reason being is simple. We want to make sure that the air stone can still actually get in there. We also get enough biological media for all 4 of these bad boys. And now, all of a sudden, it's weighted. Now I'm going to give you a really short example, and then we'll take a look at these guys in action. But we're just going to take a little bit of this high quality, I would say it's almost like CO2 hose, very flexible, very clear, and a really nice silicone style airline hose. Now, one thing that I learned with these guys is you kind of want to nip the end here to kind of be a bit of almost like a tip, like a needle of some sort, because the end that it has to go through is just so darn narrow, it's hard to get it through. But that's beneficial, meaning that once it's in there, it's not going to come out at all. Then we're going to take that off. You're not really wasting a lot, maybe a 1/4 inch there. Toss it in like that, right? And now you got to pull pretty decisively against these. And now you can just kind of screw it on, making sure that I have too much media in here. Making sure that the airline is not crimped or bent. I learned that the hard way. I didn't read the instructions because, well, who does? And then you screw it back on. However, you're going to want to put your sponge back on first. And then, of course, this end goes directly to your air pump or air system or whatever you're going to do. And because I'm running 8 tanks, I'm going to need a pretty comprehensive air system. And we're going to take a look at what I built here in a second. But on one end, if you don't know how these work, these are just your check line valves. If you can't remember which way air flows in them, we have one end is going to be pointed and the other one's not. The pointed end is direction of the flow. If you still don't remember that, blow on it and see. So we want this end technically to go here and wherever you want it. It just has to be after the air pump. Oh, before you install that, put this little tube on here. This tube makes sure that the airline doesn't kink or bend, and it also forces the air bubbles away from it. Now, when the air starts pumping through this, what's going to happen is quite simple. We all know that air bubbles rise, and because these air stones are producing bubbles far too large to dissolve in the water column, they rise to the surface and burst, not only creating surface agitation, but they're pulling all that water behind them as the air bubbles rise. So if the air is rising up through the sponge filter, it's sucking in all the water. The water's got to come from somewhere, all throughout the sponge. The sponge's not only going to serve as mechanical filtration, polishing your water, but also biological. However, once it goes through the sponge, it's got to go through all of that ceramic media, all of those little balls that are in it, finally releasing at the top, giving us a filter that's not only mechanically filtering the aquarium, but also biologically filtering it on a much larger level than your typical sponge filter. However, it's also aerating the aquarium itself, giving us an incredibly powerful filter. Now, let's go take a look at the airline system that I've created for the first 4 tanks, as well as seeing these guys in action. As for air delivery system, you guys might even hear this hissing sound. These are little tap valves You drill a tiny little hole in your PVC and screw these guys in. You can attach a airline hose to it and control how much air is coming out of each one. I then connected it to a large air pump here. This is not meant to go here. It was just temporary because I'm going to actually run it through this wall over here as soon as I clean up my junk pile thing over here. All of this is actually going to go, and I'm going to have the air pump mounted to the wall, etc. It will be much more cleaner anyways. Air is coming out of each valve, as you can see here, and delivering to each air pump. Now you can see kind of like how they work. Nothing else is going to go into the tank because in a bare aquarium it's going to be easier to clean and be able to see whether they're eating their food, but most importantly, they'll be able to use the sponge filter as their place of refuge. They can swim under it, behind it, you name it. And these in a 15-gallon tank will work out perfectly, even though these sponge filters are rated 40 to 60 gallons a piece. You guys know I'm a huge fan of taking a filter's rated aquarium size and cutting that sucker in half. So I would say they're probably good for 20 to 40 gallons depending on the fish that you're actually putting in the aquarium. And these are definitely oversized for a 15-gallon a tank, but they're also going to allow me not to need to do daily water changes, especially when I plan to grow these guys out to about 4 inches in each one of these tanks. But these 4 are currently set up. I have 10 valves. I'm going to take 2 of them, connect them to the 2000 to run really big air stones because this air pump is rated at, I think it's 100 liters a minute or something like that. It's absolutely massive and way too powerful for just a few sponge filters. I've got to empty all these tanks, get all the shrimp moved out, and figure out how I'm going to catch all of the flower horn, obviously before we move them, but I think I'm going to put the biggest to the smallest all the way down there. Now, it's all fine and dandy that I'm using this for my filtration system for the flower horns, but you might be also wondering where could I find this useful, or what would I want to use it for? A number of reasons. Maybe you have it all, one of these or a couple of these always running in your main system for those emergency times where you need a brand new cycled filter for a quarantine tank or a hospital tank, and or maybe you just want to beef up your filtration as is for a very low price with an air pump that tends to be low wattage as well. You'd also find this type of filter handy for breeding fish and or bare bottom tanks, or if you have a lot of aquariums that you just need something really cost effective yet biologically and mechanically effective as well. I might have a few left over because I have more than 8. This is all cyanobacteria and algae and you name it. But I have a friend that will take whatever I don't use or whatever we don't have room for anymore. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I count 10 at least, so you can have the smallest ones. But that's the project that I'm working on recently for these top aquariums. It's not the only thing that we're kind of doing out here. I know that many of you guys would like to see me build a sponge filter, but for $7 you really can't build anything better than that. Everything included, absolutely amazing. And all I have to do with these sponge filters is their ease of maintenance. With 8 of these running, I need maintenance to be simple. I could change the water, no problem, but when it comes to filtration, I'll fill a bucket up of tank water, I'll take the sponges out, give them a little squeeze and a little shake, drop them right back in, and I'll do that maybe once a week to every 2 weeks, maybe even a month depending on how dirty they get, but we'll have to do a kind of like a follow-up video in the near future to ensure that they're working flawlessly. In one of the upcoming videos, I will be able to get all of these guys done, all of these shrimp out of here, and the flower horn moved over, these tanks properly lit up, and we can actually admire and see what the flower horn really starting to look like because they're getting enormous compared to what they were, and I really want to see them and see how they develop over time, and having them showcased right up here, fully brightened up, we'll be able to see them in every single video. And if that's something you want to see and you're not subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you do, or you're gonna miss it. However, I must also reiterate the fact that I got these sponge filters months ago and been planning on it. I just didn't get around to it. I also found another box, I'll show it to you. And I got this one back in April, and I opened it and I looked at it and I thought, nope, too complicated. However, this is another method of filtration that you guys are going to go crazy over, and maybe sometime shortly we'll put this together. I just want to give you guys some options because not all things are cheaper to build, and we don't just do it yourself because it's cheaper. For example, 180 gallon tanks. If you want to know what these cost me, $300 US, and I bought 10 of them at one point. It's cheaper to buy them for 300 bucks than it was to build them. Sometimes we build because it's cheaper, sometimes we build because we need something specific, and sometimes we build because it's simply not available in our area, or at least that's how I got into all of this. However, sometimes people just want to see some cool products that Joey's actually using, and that's what this kind of video is all about. And I hope you've enjoyed it. See you guys in the next one. If today's video was right up your alley and you want to support this channel, consider becoming a member by clicking the join button and gaining access to hundreds of exclusive videos and posts that I continue to add to just for you. You will also get custom emotes, plus I go live every Monday for members only. Got a question? Need some advice? Maybe you want me to react to your aquarium or get my thoughts on it. I'll answer it live, or you can enjoy it later on the replay. Membership includes all of this, plus you get to help to ensure this channel continues with your support.